If you would have asked me if this is where I saw myself in 5 years ago, I absolutely would have never thought that I would be doing this. Print on demand has completely changed my life, to say the least. Hi guys, my name is Meg Heckman, and I have done over $6.5 million in print on demand Shopify sales over the last 4.5 years. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing my story about how I got to here where I am today with print on demand to help give you guidance on the time that it took me to get here and to give you insight into when and why I left my career for print on demand entrepreneurship. So let's get into it. Now, my story is very different from my husband, Chris Heckman's. He knew right out of college that a 9-to-5 job was just not for him, and he would do anything and everything to figure out a way to make money as an entrepreneur. Now, my story is not similar to that at all. I actually never went to school for anything business related, never thought I would do anything business or sales related. And to be completely honest, all of my schooling has been in science-based classes and nursing. So let's start from the very beginning. Once I graduated nursing school, my first job was actually as a pediatric trauma nurse, working in a hospital at the bedside, caring for patients who had pretty much just had surgical procedures done or had been through traumatic events and needed to be hospitalized. I was learning a ton on this new job, learning really how to be a nurse, learning the ins and outs of the hospital, really throwing myself into everything. And it wasn't until a few months after I had been at that job that I had met my now husband, Chris. And at the time, he was saying he runs these stores and he would show me the websites and I would just kind of look at them like, people actually buy from these sites? And he was like, yeah, actually a lot of people buy from these sites. And that kind of opened up my eyes to the world of e-commerce and the world of print on demand. And it wasn't until we had been dating for almost a year that Chris said, he was like, I think you should open up one of these stores. I think you would be really good at it. You know, if I'm capable of doing this, you absolutely can do it too. And so we worked together to set up my LLC and kind of get the ball rolling. I had never once thought about opening one of these stores, like even with all the sales that he was making and seeing the cool Shopify dashboard, really never once in my mind did I think like, oh, like I should open up one of these stores. And it wasn't until Chris mentioned something that it kind of sparked in my mind, like, yeah, I guess I could do this too. So after I had opened up the LLC, started finding designs, starting my first store, I learned a ton along the way. And I got the store launched. I started running ads. I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever. And for a long time, I was actually doing both jobs full time. So I was running my e-commerce store, needing to answer customer service tickets, get new designs out. Like I was doing everything for that business as well as working full time as a nurse. And it got really hectic really fast. I would go to work as a nurse, come home, answer customer service tickets, sleep for 6 hours, wake up, answer more customer service, go back to the hospital, work another shift. And it was like rinse and repeat until there was a day off. And then it was like, okay, now I can do some more research. I can get more designs up on the site. I can launch more ads. Like that's all what was going through my mind. And it wasn't until my second store that I ran, because my first store was just a hot mess. It was really, I think, the store that I learned the most from, because I learned how to set up a Shopify store. I learned how to get designs onto Printify, how to connect it to Shopify. It was all of like the first time just getting through the pattern of all of it that I was able to take everything that I learned from that store and put it into my second store. So my first store was like a complete failure. And I was like, I don't really know why I'm continuing to do this, because the first store just did not go as planned. Like in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to put this store up. It's going to do the same amount of sales that Chris's stores are doing. It's going to be amazing and great. And it just was not that. It lost money, which was a little bit defeating, but I think there's a lot of people who are out there who have probably been in the same boat that I was in. And from there, I put everything that I had learned from that first store into my second store. And that's where I found a design that took off, because it just was a trending topic. It was during COVID, so it was like kind of a COVID related shirt, and it skyrocketed. It brought in a ton of sales. And that's kind of when I had my aha moment. It was like, oh, this does work. It just is about finding the right design. And I think that is something that a lot of people almost miss, or they've tried running a store, it's not successful, and they give up because the fact they're just not getting the traction. They're not getting that first win that they need to see like, this absolutely can work. And if I hadn't pushed through that first store and taken all those lessons that I had learned along the way and plugged them into my second store, I probably would have been one of those people who walked away from it for forever. And looking back on that. I'm so glad that I didn't do that. But at the time in my mind, I was thinking, this is hard. It's a lot easier for me to just go back to full-time nursing, like just staying how I am and forgetting about this whole business thing. Like that would have been the easy thing to do. And I've definitely thought about it even after that, because even though we've learned so much from the first store, there's always hurdles that we're needing to get over in business. It doesn't matter what kind of business that you run. But I'm so glad that I got through that first store and opened up a second, because I learned so much from the first. I could put it into the second, and then I saw that sliver of a win. I got that like taste of a win and got those big sales. And for me, that was the aha moment where I was like, this absolutely can work and can be a full-time job and can give me my freedom and can give me my time back. And that's what has continued to push me to continue doing print on demand and running Shopify and going into business, is because it has given me so much of my time and my freedom to do what I want to do. So I've never once thought like, oh, I disliked nursing. I never wanted to be in it. I've loved nursing. I think it's an absolutely great career. I've loved the patients that I've cared for. I loved the hospital that I worked for. But it was having that freedom of knowing I'm not required. I don't have to go back in and work those 3 shifts. Like that was freedom to me, where it was like, I can continue picking up shifts as I want and continue doing the work as a nurse that I want to do without having the time requirement of I have to be in 3 days a week. I have to do night shift. E-commerce and print on demand just opened up all of the freedom that I have in my life and allows me to now be able to travel and to be able to do the things that I truly want to do. Ever since those first 2 stores, I've now had 3 other brands that I have run and have found success with all of them. I actually was able to scale them to over 7 figures in the first 12 months of running them. And I say that not to brag or to say like, look at the success that I've done and that I've found, but more of look at the hurdles that I needed to overcome first to ever get to that store to first do 7 figures in sales. I think too often we hit a hurdle, and instead of taking the time to get over that hurdle and learn from that hurdle and push forward, we immediately just turn around and say it doesn't work. I am here to tell you that print on demand can absolutely work, even to this day, because I currently am running a 7-figure brand that is doing sales, that is nothing crazy. It isn't, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I've come up with a blueprint with Chris that we can teach to other people and help get through all of those hurdles that we've gone through to help pave the way and get people to that first win, that first sale, the first few sales where they can get that spark of that aha moment of, wow, print on demand and e-commerce can absolutely work. And it's the foundation for starting really any business. So if you are somebody who's thinking about starting in print on demand, take it from me that it absolutely can work. It is not a system that is oversaturated. It is not a system that is broken. It absolutely can work. You just need the right blueprint to follow to help you get to that first initial win, to keep you pushing through all of those hurdles that inevitably we're all going to get. We're all going to have, no matter if you started 3 years ago or you're starting today. We're all going to go through hurdles. But if you follow a blueprint and you give yourself time to actually learn the system and go through the process and not have the anxiety or the stress of I have to make a sale, I have to make a sale, give yourself time to learn, because that is going to help you get that first win so much faster than if you are just trying to almost be like a bull in a china shop, just pushing your way through, trying to figure out a way to get that first sale. Give yourself some time to learn, because I'm sure you don't think about it, but even in your career or your job that you have now, you're probably not good at it, or you probably weren't comfortable in it your first few weeks or first few months. And it's the same thing with print on demand and business. You have to go through the process. You have to learn from your mistakes. You have to get through those hurdles. And once you do, you're going to learn so much so quickly. And I think if you do that, you're going to be able to find success in print on demand. So if you're interested in learning about print on demand and about Shopify and more about e-commerce, I highly suggest joining our free school community, which is linked in the description below. There we have our free 21-hour course, which goes step by step through the entire process of getting started in print on demand and Shopify. So if you're somebody who's been thinking about getting involved in print on demand or wanting to get involved in print on demand, then take this as your sign. Maybe you'll be making a YouTube video talking about how you left your career for print on demand.